With Veterans Day yesterday and the unveiling for Bob Mendler this Sunday, it was quite obvious what the topic of my thoughts would be. Back in 1919, Armistice Day signaled the end of the war to end all wars. On that day, in Perpetua, we are asked at the 11th hour, on the 11th day of the 11th month, to pause and remember all those who served this country. Of course, history had a different course in mind, as we all now know. The war to end all wars unfortunately led to the rise of the greatest generation, which would fight the atrocities of the Nazi and fascist regimes during World War II. And I should qualify unfortunate. It's unfortunate the greatest generation had to fight that war, not that they were the pioneers, not because they were the pioneers of the world as we know it today. On Sunday, we will again pause to remember. The unveiling of Bob's tombstone will end the mourning period as prescribed by our forefathers, but it will not end the remembering. On Yom HaShoah, Bob always wore a pin with the Hebrew word Zachor, remember. I propose to you tonight that we accept a pledge to engage another battle, the battle to remember. Every Yom HaShoah service, I state, those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. God help us all if we forget the atrocities of the Third Reich, and God help us all if we forget the sacrifices of those who fought. On Yom HaShoah, it seems we lament the fact of less Holocaust survivors and less witnesses to share what they saw. On these days of remembrance, perhaps we need to reflect on the sacrifices of all, and maybe more important, we need to live the lessons we were taught by all of them. All of us in this congregation were witness to the atrocities of the Nazi Germany through Bob's stories and recollections. Many of us were also privy to hear the encounters of the American GIs as they fought their way through occupied Europe and saw firsthand the horrors of the Nazi machine. As these people leave this world for what is undoubtedly a true eternal reward, we must embrace the legacy and the memories they have shared. It is no secret this congregation is nearing its demise, and Beth Israel will itself fade into memory. 20 or 30 years from now, there will be just a faint recollection of a once thriving Jewish community here. In some small way, I sincerely hope we leave a couple of inspiring memories. But our memories are just a microcosm of the bigger picture. I remember way back as a Cub Scout attending Veterans Day services and hearing the World War vets tell their stories. And of course, back then, it really didn't mean a lot. But then their stories gave way to the Korean War vets, then the Vietnam vets, and now in many instances, the Gulf War veterans. And as each is due the respect and honor of addressing the people, a little more is lost to the recesses of faded memories. We now live in a world of radical extremism and drug lords trying to take over an entire country. These groups tear at the very fabric of our freedom and existence. Yes, we live in a country of great freedoms, and we thank God for that. But there are threats. Just this past week, there was a conference call from the State Department to Jewish leaders about our new threats from abroad. So in fact, we are revisiting our enemy to our very existence. Only this time, it is not only against the children of Israel, but anybody who is considered an infidel because they do not practice a prescribed religion or pay homage to an outlaw individual. The lessons have been taught. It is now up to us to see if they've been learned.